We start tonight with another story of lives wrecked by the Post Office IT scandal. BBC Scotland has learned that Post Office investigators continue to threaten two sisters over debts they claimed they were owed, despite knowing the case was too weak to go to court. Jackie El-Kazabi and Rose Stewart say they've suffered years of torture. Their case features in a documentary on tonight, which looks into the scandal in Scotland. Around 60 people here may have been wrongfully convicted on the basis of the faulty Horizon computer system. Here's our investigations correspondent, Mark Daly.
Right with the door there. It was a dark place, and it was the guilt. I knew I hadn't taken the money. I would say that I'm a strong woman. The Post Office took that away from me.
Sisters Rose and Jackie used to run this post office in the Gorbals area of Glasgow.
Just sad about how things went.
In 2012, auditors told them the Horizon system was showing up £34,000 short.
I actually almost slid down the wall. It's almost like the blood had drained from you.
The post office wanted to take the sisters to a criminal trial over the shortfall. But a Glasgow prosecutor killed the case stone dead, citing issues with the Horizon evidence. Despite this, the post office threatened the family with debt collectors if they didn't pay up. They went to mediation, but the post office didn't tell the family why its criminal case had collapsed.
I went into that mediation still feeling like the accused. Ultimately, we paid the post office £10,000.
They go into a mediation in good faith without that key piece of information, and the post office end up bullying 10 grand out of them. That's theft. That's fraud by misrepresentation.
The post office said it would not be appropriate to comment on the allegations, but said it fully supported the ongoing public inquiry's aims to get to the truth of what happened. Meanwhile, Scotland's Crown Office is facing questions over its handling of Horizon cases. Karen Lorimer worked in her local post office in Kilmarnock for 17 years. In 2008, the auditors found a shortfall of nearly £40,000.
I remember getting a phone call. Karen was in tears. I asked her if she did it. Shouldn't have. Of course she didn't do it.
Facing jail, Karen pleaded guilty to embezzlement and was given community service and forced to pay the post office £15,000. She died from cancer in 2022. Her niece Joanne Hughes is determined to clear her name.
She died basically a convicted criminal.
Yeah.
No chance to clear her name.
She's took that with her.
The Crown Office in Scotland had known about Horizon issues since 2013 and formally ceased prosecutions in 2015. And yet, for 5 years, there were no victims written to, no cases re-examined, no convictions overturned. There was no attempt to review a single prosecution. For this entire period, it seems, the Crown Office in Scotland did nothing. The body which investigates miscarriages of justice in Scotland began reviewing Horizon cases in 2020. Karen's case is set for the appeal court in April. The Crown Office told the BBC there had been no scope for a meaningful review until the failings were known. It said it was not until the decisions by the courts in England and Wales in 2019 and 21 that the full extent of the bugs and errors became known. So far, only 6 out of around 60 Horizon convictions have been overturned in Scotland. For the family of Karen Lorimer, that's all that matters.
Clear Karen's name.
Yeah. Give us a bit of paper
Apology.
that says that she didn't do it. That'll do me.
David Lorimer ending that report. Well, Mark is with me. Mark, do you think we can expect more cases like the Lorimers coming forward?
I think it's possible. There's up to 60 people wrongly convicted in this scandal in Scotland. Only 17 so far have come forward. One of the reasons for that could be, as we saw in our investigation, the shame that's involved with these post office workers. Many of these people were pillars of their community, and then they were disgraced. For some, that has just been too difficult to revisit. You should remember, some of these workers were being pursued vigorously by the Post Office. They were being told that the evidence against them, the Horizon evidence, was incontrovertible, and some had very difficult choices to make. Karen Lorimer, she had a 4-year-old son, and her choice was, should I plead guilty or face jail? And that's what she had to do. She pleaded guilty in order to avoid jail. Now, her family says she felt shamed by this and was never able to talk about it afterwards. That's one of the reasons the Lorimer family are speaking out now. They hope that other people, other victims of this scandal, will feel more empowered to come forward themselves. OK, Mark, thank you. And you can see Disclosure, Scotland's Post Office scandal on BBC One Scotland tonight at 8 p.m. or on the iPlayer now. Now, you might remember the case of Clere Ingle, who was brutally murdered by her short-term boyfriend, Christopher McGowan, after he was bailed to her Stirling home. Clare's parents feel that should not have been allowed to happen and are now calling for better safeguarding in the legal system. BBC Scotland News has learned that social services were investigating McGowan's relationship with Clere in the weeks before her death, saying they had concerns about him living at her property with a child. Sarah McMullen reports.
It's just a massive hole in our lives. I mean, it's like having Robbie in a forever sleepover. I still think she's going to walk through the door. I still think she's going to be there. And for what I've been through, I've just been to hell and back, and I knew she would be by my side.
Clere Ingle's killer, Christopher McGowan, was sentenced to 23 years in prison last November. He was on 5 bail orders at the time of the murder. But despite the guilty verdict and life sentence, Clare's parents still have questions around the legal system.
Everybody's just washing their hands saying there's nothing, we've done nothing wrong. So to me, since that date, I've been nothing but emailing and letters and everything. And
it's getting shoved the pillory post, eh?
And I shouldn't be able to do that. I think in this day and age, with that happened, there should be a review of all the services that were involved, and nobody is interested.
The Lord Advocate responded to the Ingles' concerns, setting out how the courts arrived at those bail decisions and determined that due process was followed. But social work records seen by BBC Scotland News show concerns were raised around McGowan living with Clere around 2 months before her death. One entry shows that McGowan had been asked to leave the home of another family on advice from social work. Another details there was no indication of concern because McGowan was on remand and the case was closed. Just days later, it's flagged that McGowan is now back in the community and living with Clere. It says there would be concerns about him living in a household with a child. The day after, social workers visit Clare's home, but it appears there is no answer. 3 days later, Clere is murdered.
I know it's been a criticism of our systems for 50 years now. If you read any of the reviews of child deaths, they'll all say this could have been avoided if different elements of our system had communicated with each other.
The Crown Office has offered to meet with the family, but Conservative MSP Russell Finlay says that doesn't go far enough.
Social work were aware of him and were concerned about him. No family should have to go through this DIY route to getting answers. All of these questions could be answered fairly painlessly and quickly if only someone in government gives the green light to an inquiry.
Clare's parents say the records from social work confirm their worst fears, that McGowan was a known danger.
I've missed her so much. She was my best pal. We were totally inseparable, and it's just so hard. Life is just so hard.
The mother of Clere Ingle speaking there. The Emma Caldwell murder trial has heard of a possible forensic link between where her body was found and a van used by the accused. Soil samples taken 18 years ago from the woods where Emma's body was discovered were compared with soil found in the footwell of a van used by Ian Packer. An expert told the High Court in Glasgow it was much more likely the samples came from the same location than from somewhere else. Ian Packer denies murder. Now, staff at the University of Aberdeen have voted in favour of strike action in a row over cuts to modern languages degrees. Management has been consulting on plans to stop single honours degrees in French, German, Spanish and Gaelic. Well, our reporter Phil MacDonald is at the university for us tonight. Phil, significant development today then?
Yeah, over the past month, members of the University and College Union here at Aberdeen Uni have been voting on whether to strike or take action just short of a strike in response to this proposal from management. The ballot closed earlier today and the UCU has told us that 80% of staff who voted in it decided to strike from a 60% turnout. Now, that wasn't entirely unexpected, as staff had previously indicated that they would be willing to take industrial action when they were asked in an informal ballot. And with around 30 members of staff in the Modern Languages Department at risk of redundancy, the UCU has told us that protecting jobs must be a priority.
So this isn't only people in modern languages, it's people all across the university who are upset and dismayed at this arbitrary threat against people's jobs and livelihoods. We will, of course, meet with management and tell them to take the threat of compulsory redundancies off the table. And if they do that, which they could have done ages ago, probably members will agree not to take strike action.
So, Phil, what has the university had to say then?
Well, this has obviously been a very difficult matter for the university. They've pointed to the financial challenges facing unis across the country and the need to make savings, as well as the fact that they have had to deal with a very public backlash with protests and petitions, as well as ministers and government consulates writing to express concerns at the cuts. Now, with a strike looming, the university's senior vice principal has given his reaction.
We are working really hard with our colleagues to find a way forward which will allow us to ensure a really successful future for modern languages. And we're in really close dialogue, both with colleagues in languages and with our trade union colleagues, to reach a resolution that is negotiated on this matter. And we want to avoid redundancies. I know the ballot was about the possibility of redundancies, but we are seeking to avoid redundancies through a voluntary severance and early retirement scheme.
Now, the UCU has told us that its local branch will meet to consider the next steps in this dispute this week.
Phil in Aberdeen, thank you. Now, when you think of Ullapool in the Northwest Highlands, you probably picture scenes like this one, don't you? Well, what about this? Well, some friends are on a mission to make dance club nights a regular feature in the village. They saw a gap in the market after a couple of big festivals were dropped in recent years, and they hope this remote club night concept will complement the traditional music scene there. Alison McLean has been along.
With a name deriving from Gaelic and Spanish and meaning town dance, Balabaili club nights have been running throughout the winter months in Ullapool. With the tagline of Scotland's most remote nightclub, one of the organisers felt there was a gap in the music market in his hometown.
I knew there was kind of like a want or a need for something up here that was a bit more, I don't know, a bit more raucous, let's say.
Promoting local talent and DJs from across the north of Scotland, 3 previous nights have sold out completely. With an event of this type being so unusual for a village like Ullapool, it has garnered a lot of press attention. As well as reports appearing in local and national newspapers, Balabaili has featured in BBC Scotland's Tune series, as well as a BBC 6 music documentary. The coverage has come as quite a surprise.
It's been crazy to get this amount of press attention. Like, we never thought 2 nights into running a club night that we'd have a BBC documentary about it. It's funny though, but like, we kind of want to keep it also like this. The focus is the night, and not kind of get too caught up in it.
The local community has welcomed the club nights during the quieter months of the year.
It's always nice to see an enthusiastic young team looking to put on their version of what's been going on for years, you know, a Cayley by another name.
It's a good thing for the village, and it would encourage other promoters and, you know, young folk to try and run events like this.
Looking to the future, the organisers are hopeful that bigger events might unfold. Alison McLean, reporting Scotland, Ullapool.
I think we should plan a trip.
I was trying to not dance.
I know.
It looks like some party, doesn't it?
Calm down, football first.
Yeah, I better focus on that. A busy night. Thank you very much, Laura. Yes, hello there. After a dramatic night in the Premiership last night, there's more this evening as Nick Montgomery's Hibs side look to kick-start their season when they take on champion Celtic. Brian McLaughlin is at Easter Road for us.
Good evening from Edinburgh, where it's been a glorious but somewhat chilly day here in the capital. But the temperatures are sure to rise this evening when the Hibernian take on Celtic in the Scottish Premiership. For the home side, well, it's been a rather difficult period of late. They haven't won a home game in the league since the start of December. Indeed, their only win in 2024 was away to Forfar Athletic in the Scottish Cup. And at the weekend, it was a 3-0 humbling here against St Mirren, and that has brought pressure on the manager, Nick Montgomery. For Celtic, after a rather inept performance at Pittodrie at the weekend, well, manager Brendan Rodgers will be looking for a bounce back this evening at a venue where he has never yet recorded a victory. There are 4 matches in total in the Scottish Premiership here this evening. It's 8 o'clock kick-off at Easter Road. The other matches are 7:45. You can hear all the action live on Sportsound from just after 7. And of course, Sports Scene highlights tonight at 10:40 on BBC One Scotland.
OK, and here are those other games Brian mentioned. 4th placed Kilmarnock take on bottom side Livingston. St Johnstone are up against an in-form Hearts side, and St Mirren play Dundee. It's also a big night in the SWPL with 5 games there. League leaders Rangers play Hearts, and 2nd placed Celtic are away to Motherwell. Well, after those celebrations last night, Rangers boss Philippe Clement insists they're not thinking about the title, despite drawing level on points with Celtic at the top of the Premiership. Rabbi Matondo opened the scoring against Aberdeen after just 7 minutes at Ibrox before Bojan Majowski equalised for Neil Warnock's side with his 20th goal of the season, just before half-time. But with 18 minutes to go, Todd Cantwell grabbed the winner, and despite a late red card for Dujon Sterling, Rangers held on to secure all 3 points.
It's about confirming game by game this mentality, this team spirit, and also this football, because it was not only on team spirit that we won the game. It was because we were clearly the better team on the ball who deserves to win, and that stays the most important.
We didn't really know what to expect, having only seen them for a couple of days. But they've answered all the questions. It's my kind of club, isn't it, really? The fans were fabulous. The players give me everything, and it's my type of muck and nettles, I think. So I'm looking forward to it now, the challenge.
Well, it was a great night for Motherwell, but not for Ross County and this man, Derek Adams, who cast doubt on his future after their 5-0 defeat at Fir Park. Adams and his counterpart, Stuart Kettlewell, both admitted it could have been even more. New signing Andy Halliday started the scoring before 2 stunning strikes from Blair Spittle, either side of a penalty from Theo Bair, and a late goal for debutant Jack Vale, which completed the rout.
I think a lot of people may be feeling that I am a broken record by talking about the level of performance recently from us, but I genuinely did believe it was building towards a win. And when you get into that groove and when you get into playing the way that we were in stages tonight, then you know those chances appear.
Listen, I'll have a conversation with the chairman and the CEO and go from there. But you know, from my point of view, I've tried to come in and you know, help the situation. It's a difficult situation the football club is in. I said that many weeks ago. I was open-eyed, I was honest, I looked at it, and all I can say is I'm not surprised.
Now, Ayr United manager Scott Brown said he'll be disappointed if he doesn't receive a warm reception at Ibrox when his team faced Rangers in the Scottish Cup last 16. The former Celtic captain was a bit of a pantomime villain at Ibrox as a player and returns there on Saturday, this time in the dugout. He won 22 domestic honours with Rangers' Glasgow rivals, but Brown is keen to make the occasion about his Ayr players rather than himself.
It's one of this, it's another game for us. We need to make sure that we're organised and that we believe that we can do, and not just because it's Rangers and you're not going to get a lot from me in that, but it's another game. It's a huge game for the club. It's going to bring in a lot of money to this football club, which is fantastic as well. But at the same time, we want to go there and we want to be in the game.
It's also an element that you might get a warm welcome, but within 2 or 3 minutes of the game.
I'd be disappointed if I didn't.
And Laura, before I go, good news for Scotland fans, because there was concerns that maybe bagpipes wouldn't be allowed at the Euros in Germany this summer, but UEFA have said they are as long as they're registered.
It begs the question though, how does one register one's
bagpipes? It's a good question, yeah. Go to the Scottish FA and they'll help fans out.
Good to know. Thank you, Lewis. OK, now let's go over to Stephen Jardine to find out what's happening on Debate Night later.
Debate night is back this evening with a general election ahead. Tonight, we are in Edinburgh. Our studio audience here will be putting their questions to a panel including Jim Fairley from the SNP, Michael Shanks MP from Scottish Labour, Sue Webber from the Scottish Conservatives, award-winning Times columnist Gabriella Bennett and acclaimed singer-songwriter Colin McIntyre. That's Debate night with me, 10:30 on the BBC Scotland channel.
Now, here's a question for you. What lengths would you go to get the best view of your favourite band? How about camping out in freezing temperatures for 2 nights beforehand to stake your claim? Well, that's what fans of the band The 1975 are doing outside the Glasgow Hydro right now to make sure come tomorrow night they'll be right at the front. Aileen Clark went to meet some of them.
The 1975 performing last year in sunny Dundee at BBC Radio 1's Big Weekend. Not quite so warm in Glasgow today, where hardy fans are camping out in freezing temperatures to get a spot in the front row. Are you not even feeling the cold today?
Not really, kind of used to it at this point.
Yeah, yeah. The gig is not until tomorrow night. Yeah. Why are you here this early?
We were going to come tomorrow anyways. We've been here since last night, and just because the queue started so early, like we felt we needed to get here because we really wanted like a good space on the barrier. And
yeah, we want to be close to the front.
So you're the right down the front girls?
Yeah. We just like love the barrier life.
Yeah.
We've tied them together so we don't blow away
so they don't
in
blow
the middle of the
away.
night.
It's cosy.
You're sure you want to do another night in the tent?
Yeah, we've made it this far.
We've
so
made it this far. We've
too
got
bad
one more
to
night.
go back now.
Are you not wavering? Are you not thinking it would be quite nice to be home in my own bed?
Kind of, but it's worth it.
So coming from Chicago, you'll know a thing or two about cold temperatures. So what are your secret weapons?
This is my electric blanket.
And how does an electric blanket work when you're camping?
So this is my power bank, and then I just plug it in at night and charge it during the day.
I am in the presence of fan royalty here. Show us your numbers, girls.
Numbers 1 and 2. And we'll be at the very front.
But here's the problem. All the layers that you need while you're here, staking your place down at the front of the gig, is not actually what you want to be wearing when you are down at the front of the gig. But tomorrow morning, the marker pen numbers will be confirmed by official wristbands, and it's home for hair and makeup.
We just have all day to go home and get ready and just, get prepared.
And I take it you'll not be wearing a fleece?
No.
Aileen Clark, reporting Scotland, Glasgow.
Oh, Callum, I fear they're going to be fighting over that electric blanket out there.
That's right, they're keen and so will the weather be tonight. Yes, I hope they've got their winter woolies. And we've been transported to a Scandinavian winter wonderland. No, it was Orkney actually. Looking to the hills of Hoy there, beautiful. And some snow and ice warnings to come late tomorrow and into Friday for some of us. So hello there, folks. Yes, it was a wee skim of snow to start the day for many of us, gave the daffodils a fright and more significant snowfall across parts of northern Scotland that we've just seen, but it was a broad day, plenty of crisp winter sunshine. But that's important, under those clear skies, temperatures tumble away tonight, cold, a widespread frost, widely sub-zero, the risk of ice too, particularly across the North Highlands, Lewis and the Northern Isles. We do have a Met Office snow and ice warning valid with some wintry showers here too. Tomorrow then, the colder air is in place, but this weather front's trying to bump in against it, and increasingly later in the day, southern Scotland, the risk of some spells of sleet and snow. But in the meantime, tomorrow we'll start the day dry. Extensive canopy of upper level clouds, central southern areas, more than shown in the map here. Best of the hazy sunshine in the north. We'll also have a scattering of wintry showers in the far north. But into the afternoon, that gusty easterly wind will develop, overcast conditions, a raw feel, and into the far south, some spells of sleet and snow, perhaps as far north as South Lanarkshire, Kintyre, Arran by the end of the afternoon, but central belt northwards staying dry, and the best of the hazy sunshine will be across the Highlands and the north east, but still with some coastal wintry showers, as that will be the case for the Isles too. Then into tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, we've got this yellow warning from the Met Office for snow and ice, central southern Scotland, which will be valid right into the afternoon of Friday, and that's because this front tomorrow night will edge its way into central areas, into parts of central eastern Highlands too, with some outbreaks of sleet and snow. Snow most significant across across the high ground, but potential for a wee covering down to low levels too. On Friday then, we'll see our front continue to edge its way north with that significant snow risk continuing to edge north through the course of the day. It'll be a raw all day though. Easterly winds near gale force near the east coast, and these outbreaks of rain, sleet and snow spreading north. Significant snowfall across upland areas, particularly north of the Central Belt into the Highlands, the north east later in the day. Snow to low levels across southern Scotland tending to revert to rain through the day. And then a Met Office secondary yellow warning for snow and ice will come into force from 3 o'clock for the Highlands and north east. That's you up to date on the weather front. Laura.
Thank you, Callum. Tonight's main news again. New evidence in the ongoing Post Office Horizon IT scandal. Investigators pursued a family over debts they claimed they were owed despite knowing the case was too weak to go to court. And that is Reporting Scotland. The late news is at 10:30. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.